main story tonight concerns something Americans simply can't get enough of: prison. We love to be entertained by it, from Orange is the New Black to seemingly MSNBC's entire weekend programming to the TNT classic Tim Robbins Stands Shirtless in the Rain, the movie. We love prison so much, a shocking number of Americans are currently inside one, as we learned last week during a House Judiciary Committee hearing.
Our nation now has the greatest number of prisoners of any country in the world. Nearly 1 in every 100 adults in America is in prison or jail.
That's true. We have over 2 million people behind bars right now. We have more prisoners at the moment than China. We don't have more of anything than China, other than, of course, debt to China.
The federal government and several states are paying huge sums of money to private prison companies or for-profit prisons to house thousands of inmates. Critics say for every new person that gets locked up, private prisons get richer.
What's clear so far is that we are doing a terrible job of taking care of people that it is very easy for all of us not to care about. But here's the thing. Increasingly, we aren't taking care of them at all. Private subcontractors have steadily been taking over certain services, like the Aramark Corporation, who provide food to prisons and a promise that with Aramark you can expect more savings. And hey, look, when you're being thrifty with food costs, what's the worst that can happen?
Record shows 65 instances where Aramark employees failed to provide food or ran out.
The private vendor Aramark changed recipes to include cheaper, sometimes substandard ingredients.
Aramark Correctional Services made headlines recently after maggots were found in food served at prisons here in Michigan.
And it's not just food being privatized, it's prison healthcare too. Arizona tried that. Guess how it turned out.
Medical spending in prisons dropped by $30 million, and staffing levels plummeted. 50 people died in Arizona Department of Corrections custody in just the first 8 months of this year. Compare that to 37 deaths in the previous 2 years combined.
Nowhere in the world incarcerates as much as we do. We've seen extremely high rates of exposure to the criminal justice system for African American men with very low levels of schooling. So if we think about black men who were born in the late 1970s and who are growing up through the American prison boom of the 1980s and the 1990s, the chances that they're going to serve time in state or federal prison if they dropped out of high school is about 70%. So going to prison for that group of black men with very low levels of schooling, that's become a normal life event. And that's really only happened in the last 10 years.
The picture is taken from the jail security camera back on November the 8th. If you're counting, that's 8 women crammed together in the booking area.
I look at this as a crisis for our county right now.
Then this past weekend, the crisis was back with 9 men in the same situation, just booking in and no place to immediately go when capacity hits 252.
We're doing the best we can right now with what we've got. You know, I know sometimes that's not good enough, but our commitment is to make sure that everybody's treated with dignity when they come into the jail.
Attorney General Eric Holder has endorsed a proposal that would result in shorter prison sentences for many nonviolent drug traffickers. Holder's backing for a U.S. Sentencing Commission proposal is part of a broader Justice Department effort to lessen the punishment for nonviolent drug dealers and create a fairer criminal justice system. This morning, Holder spoke in front of that commission, and he said this over-reliance on incarceration is not just financially unsustainable, it comes with human and moral costs that are impossible to calculate. Change would include reducing the average sentence of a drug dealer by 11 months. The Justice Department says that would trim the federal prison population by roughly 6,500 inmates after 5 years. A National Association of Prosecutors is opposing the proposal, arguing that mandatory sentences have been helpful in securing cooperation from defendants and witnesses.
Thursday, President Barack Obama shortened prison sentences for 58 people. The action is part of his effort to reduce sentencing for nonviolent drug offenses. In March, Obama commuted 61 sentences, but the administration says unfair sentencing needs to be addressed by Congress, not just through the president's actions.